Hey everyone, welcome to another Yesshift News Desk edition. This is Stephen Schinder here to recap bits of Yes-related news that have come out in the last 3 weeks. That would be the last time that I came on here to do one of these. So there will be reminders of reissues coming up and some other things like the Gottlieb brothers announced another book and we, we got all sorts of stuff to talk about here. There's even like a little bit about Tormato recordings that people have been talking about. So let's just go for it right off the top. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Steven Sullivan, who commented on the Alt Music Yes episode that I recently did with Simon Barrow and Miguel Falcao. Steven Sullivan, and he's part of Forgotten Yesterdays. He said this was a fun listen. Shout outs for Yes Info and the Usenet era should also go to Nick Cacioppo, who at some personal cost and aggravation was a liaison between fans and John and Rick. Yes Man Lee and his Yes Museum. Oh, I do remember that. Mike Tiano / Notes from the Edge mentioned, but it can't be overstated what a crucial historical resource it was / is. The Gottlieb brothers and Yes Magazine, and Pete Whipple for creating Forgotten Yesterdays. Also, Anil Prasad and his remarkable interviews. So thanks. We're glad that you enjoyed the episode and very glad to hear all the feedback and whatnot. Speaking of Miguel, it was his birthday about a week ago, and shortly after this album that he was part of got released on Bandcamp, he said, "Happy to announce the release of Our Time, the second album from Marcelo dos Reis Flora Trio, with myself on double bass and Luis Felipe Silva on drums. It is available on JACC Records Bandcamp for now." So you can go to jaccrecords.bandcamp.com and you'll find the album. I gave it a listen. It's about 50 minutes, I believe, something in that ballpark. And it's really great, really jazzy stuff. Gets into some beautiful jazzy chaos. It's great. The track list, one of the tracks is actually titled 13 minutes, but I think it's 14 minutes. But either way, it's really great stuff. And it really reminded me of how jazzy some of that early Yes stuff was. So you got Irreversible Light, 13 minutes, Bending Cycles after the Between Tanger, and Now That We Know. And this is all instrumental, and it's definitely worth a listen. I recommend that y'all give it a spin when you get the chance. And next up, it was also the November 22nd, I believe, or somewhere around there, would have been the birthday of Johnny Bruhns, who, of course, passed away earlier this year, and he was a guitarist who was involved with a few different Yes musicians and was also in Total Mass Retain. But on Black Friday, there was this announcement from musician Leon Alvarado saying that there's a new album called The Wicked Forest due for release on February 27th, which features Johnny along with Billy Sherwood and John Davison. So that is quite the surprise, and nice to hear that we'll be able to hear a bit more of Johnny still. And I'm also curious about Billy and John's contributions, of course. So very much on the lookout for that album. And again, that's February 27th. So we'll definitely give it a listen whenever it, when it's available and whatnot. And speaking of Total Mass Retain, that Yes tribute band has announced what they're playing within the first half of 2026, which would be the Yes album, Close to the Edge, plus some favorites and surprises. I'm very curious what the surprises may be, but yeah, so the first half of 2026, you'll have them and maybe some other tribute bands, and you'll also have John and the Band Geeks touring. You'll have Oliver Wakeman and his band playing from a page, and I'm sure at some point, Yes will be touring again. I just don't know how soon in the year. We know that they're going to put out a new album, so we'll just have to see what happens. Let's see. There have also been some anniversaries recently. We passed an anniversary of Fragile and another for Relayer. And outside of those, the Asia album Astra turned 40 on November 11th. November 21st saw Fish Out of Water turning 50, Chris Squire's solo album. Very remarkable. And Oliver Wakeman, a week later, actually posted a picture of his copy of Fish Out of Water that Chris had given him on his first tour with Yes. And I'll also give a shout out to, I saw a post about this from Yes Official, Ian and Sharon from scotsbasslessons.com, who have this YouTube video and they dig into classics like Roundabout and The Fish to show why Squire's sound remains one of the most influential in rock. The genius of Chris Squire, his outrageous tone and bass lines is the name of the video. So it's about a half hour long, so give that a watch after this. Let's see what else we got here. Yes shows turned 45 on November 24th, and that live album is an interesting one because you get snapshots of 3 different tours, a Relayer tour, or I guess the 76 solo albums tour, whatever you want to call it, and then the going for the one tour and the Tormato tour. And we'll talk a bit more about Tormato tour recordings in a bit, but it's an album where I wonder if it should have been a triple live album instead of a double, so that they could have put a bit more. Maybe they would have been able to put more of the big medley, because we only get Time and a Word, and then it segues into going for the one. So it's an interesting one, that album. I'm just reminding myself of the sequence right now, because it begins with Parallels, which is a strong opening, and then Time and a Word, and it's like you're beginning the medley. Like if you're aware of the medley, you know that the medley is happening, and it's kind of like a wait, what? When it goes to going for the one. But if you're unaware, like I was when I first listened to it, then it segues kind of nicely. And then there's Gates of Delirium, of course, a strong epic, followed by Don't Kill the Whale, and then Ritual Part 1, because, these are LPs back in the day, and then Ritual Part 2, followed by Wondrous Stories. So ending on a softer track, which I don't think I've asked Dad about this, like how he feels about the live album ending like this, but that might be a fun conversation. But yeah, so I guess while we're at it, I'll just go ahead and touch on the Tormato tour stuff. Over on the Yes Official YouTube channel, they've actually put up a playlist of the Richfield Coliseum 1978 show, and there isn't a whole lot of info. Like it's kind of out of the blue. Like this is a live show that's been around, it's been bootlegged, and it's like openly available, but now it's on Yes's official YouTube channel, which is quite odd, especially when we haven't had any announcement of any sort of live album, like a physical release, I should say. And it's got that photo that I'm sure people have seen where it's in the round, and you got John with the tambourine and Steve playing his guitar, and you got the I guess this would be 35th anniversary logo. It's blue but with red branches or veins or whatever those are supposed to be, and then it just says Richfield Coliseum 1978 the radio broadcast. And you do get a few radio broadcast moments during applause after certain songs where it's like you're listening to, and then whatever the station is. But yeah, I gave this playlist a listen, and it sounds really good. Siberian True is the opener, and it again reminds me that I really love the way that this lineup plays this track, especially on, whether it be Here, Yes Songs, or Keys to Ascension. So really great. And then you get Heart of the Sunrise and Future Times, Rejoice, my favorite track from Tormato probably. Then Circus of Heaven, with even a little bit of Rick playing circus music, the like very briefly. So that's really funny. And then you get the big medley, Time and a Word, Long Distance Runaround, The Fish, which, while not labeled here, does include a tiny bit of The Ancient and Survival. Then you get Perpetual Change, followed by, it's labeled Gates of Delirium, but of course it's like that last bit of Before Soon and then Soon. And then you get Don't Kill the Whale, Madrigal / it says The Clap when it's, you would think that with this being on Yes's channel, they would retitle it just Clap, because, it's not supposed to have the. And then followed by Starship Trooper and a Rick Wakeman solo, which has a bit of Six Wives and maybe one of the albums after, either Journey or King Arthur. The bit that he plays, I get it mixed up with like what album it's from. They get the superb Awaken, what a show here, followed by I've Seen All Good People and Roundabout. And then on this playlist you get Madrigal, so maybe a different performance. And then On the Silent Wings of Freedom, and then And You and I. Yeah, this was a really great listen. It's kind of out of the blue. Like, it just, they posted this on their YouTube channel November 12th, so it's quite odd, but hey, it's there for people to listen to, so it's a really great snapshot of that era. So another thing that has been happening that I've seen other Yes fans talk about, particularly in the YMP discussion group on Facebook, Yes Music Podcasts group, is the Wembley 1978 concert appeared in a listing over on Music Glue under Bespoke Editions. And Bespoke Editions have put out stuff like the Yes Early Broadcasts, John Anderson, The Lost Tapes, and some other things. There's Rick Wakeman related stuff. So this was a bit odd, because this cover of so it's a vinyl package, and there's a black version and a red one. The cover art, while not the Tormato cover art, is very clearly trying to be like those visuals with a dark gray and red color palette. There's even been a CD listing over the last few days, and this felt odd because we know that the Wembley show has been worked on sometime within the past year or so. John D has been working on making that presentable from a good source of the show. And he even pointed out that the listing shows Future Times and Rejoice are on there, which is on what he has. So what's on this listing could possibly be from a different show. And there's even been rumblings that I don't know who exactly said this, but that the Wembley show, what John D, the version that John D has worked on, it could potentially be on a future re-release of Tormato. I suppose it could be like a super deluxe edition, like what we've been seeing with these other albums, because Warner and BBC own the rights to this Wembley show. And, given the release pattern of these deluxe editions, I assume that maybe if we ever get a Tormato re-release, it could be 2028 at the earliest, or maybe 2029. But Yeah, people are perplexed by this listing on Music Glue because it's like, well, what's the source? And is the listing still going to be here? It also supposedly may have appeared on a newsletter from Rick Wakeman or his Music Emporium. I've seen a couple people mention that. But the other day, Kevin Mulrine and Mark Anthony Kay, they did a deep dive on this whole thing, doing some detective work, reporting what they were able to find out about the company, the connection to Gonzo and Voice Print, basically the stuff that is known, and there's still a bit that's a little bit unclear, but I implore you all to check out their episode of Yes Music Podcast, episode 699. They do a really good job presenting what they were able to find, and it really is makes it easier on me to talk about this here. But it's really odd. I would wait until the version that John D worked on sees a release. Like, hopefully it does, and in the meantime, you could probably find this on YouTube anyway, or you could see what's on Forgotten Yesterdays and whatnot. Like, it's got info on the show. They've been posting info about the show and the tour recently, I believe. So yeah, a strange resurgence for the Tormato tour. And with Kevin being the person who wrote the book on Tormato, it's really makes sense that they do a deep dive on it. And funny enough, that episode was titled Rotten Tormatos, and Rotten Tormato is also my username on Letterboxd. So great minds, right? Or Yes fans, great minds. So yeah, check out that episode. It was really compelling conversation. All right, so next on here, what have we got? We have the announcement from the Gottlieb brothers. So for anyone not familiar, like if you've been living under a rock or whatever, the Gottlieb brothers have been doing photography for Yes for years, and they've also put out tour books. Earlier this month, I talked about the Fragile tour book, where they interviewed the band members of the current lineup, as well as Bill Bruford and photographer Barry Wenzel. Lots of berries. The calendar that is over on the tormatobook.com, Kevin's site, has photos by Barry Plummer. So interesting. They've done the tour books, and they also recently put out the first 3 of their Yes Stuff book series. And we're going to have the Gottlieb brothers on our show this Thursday, December 4th at 5 p.m. Pacific. So that would be 8 p.m. Eastern time. And actually earlier in that day, we're also going to have an interview with Trey Gunn. Some of you may know him from King Crimson. His interview will be at 10 a.m. Pacific. But yeah, so we're going to be talking with the Gottlieb brothers about this Yes Stuff book series. The first 3 came in the mail for me. So I've got them here. So there's Volume 1, which is tour books and concert programs. Then we've got Volume 2, which is concert posters. I know the visual effect thing is making this difficult. And then you got Volume 3, which is the picture sleeve singles. And they're all available on Amazon. I didn't read the dimensions beforehand. So with the tour books being the way that they are, I think I was expecting the dimensions to be similar, but I think this is really cool. Like, this square dimension, and the pictures themselves are big enough to see. So it's like you can easily carry these, but also see the pictures very well. The beginning of each book has an intro, and then there's an afterword at the end. Volume 1 in particular has more text next to the photos, like a paragraph or a couple paragraphs, and even a forward by Steve Howe, which is really nice. But yeah, you got so let me turn off the visual effect and just do a quick flip through. So you can kind of see that's kind of what you can expect from how much page space the photos take up of all these different bits of Yes memorabilia. And they've also announced what the 4th book in this series will be. So I'll go ahead and read the announcement from their site. So that would be GottliebBros.com. So calling all Yes fans, we want your stories and memories. A book by the fans for the fans. We are thrilled to announce a new title in our Yes Stuff book series, a compendium of Yes fans. In our previous volumes, we dove deep into the memorabilia of the Yes universe, tour programs, concert posters, picture sleeves, and vinyl. But now it's time to shine a spotlight on another important part of the Yes legacy, the fans. This book is all about us, the Yes community, and we want you to be part of it. What we're looking for, a compendium of Yes fans, is about showcasing what best reflects your passion for Yes. Every fan's connection to the band is unique, so we welcome anything that tells your Yes story. For example, your contribution could be a favorite photo of you with members of Yes. It could be a cherished meet and greet or backstage moment. An original artwork you created that was inspired by the band's music or iconic Roger Dean imagery. A treasured keepsake like an old high school notebook with a hand-drawn Yes logo on the cover that you just couldn't throw away. Your Yes cave, a peek into a room in your home covered floor to ceiling with Yes posters and memorabilia. Personal writing such as short essay, memory, or poem you wrote inspired by a Yes song or concert. The first Yes record you ever bought, or the tickets to your first Yes show, the item that started your lifelong journey as a fan, or Yes tattoos. So you got quite a variety of suggestions there. And they even say these are just ideas. Whatever item, image, or story means the most to you as a Yes fan is exactly what we'd love to feature. It can be something deeply personal or something fun and quirky. If it represents your fandom, it belongs in this book. Remember, this book is about celebrating the diversity and creativity of the Yes fan community, so there's no wrong submission. And right here, it shows how to participate. So you can snap a photo or write your story. It has to be a clear photo. And smartphone photos and heartfelt words are perfect. They say we're focusing on authenticity and passion, not perfection. And, this is all digital. Don't send the physical copy. And there's a submission form you can fill out, and you have to submit by January 31st. So we got about 2 months now. And again, this is an open call, and they're very excited about including every single fan who submits. This isn't a contest or a limited selection process. If you take the time to share a piece of your Yes story with us, we promise you'll be featured. Think of it as your personal page in the annals of Yes history. We've always known that Yes has some of the most dedicated, passionate, and colorful fans in all of music. Now it's time to celebrate that by putting all of us together in one special volume. The Yes Fans book will be a vibrant mosaic of fan experiences, a book by Yes fans, of Yes fans, and for Yes fans. And so this is a labor of love, as they say. So go to GottliebBros.com and navigate to where you can fill this out. I'll go ahead and post this in the comments. All right, so very exciting stuff there. All right, next up, Roger Dean has continued posting on his Facebook page. It's included the Freya's Castle jigsaw, and the last orders that can be made before Christmas are December 1st outside of Europe, December 6th in Europe, and December 18th in the UK via Royal Mail. He also posted about the Roger Dean calendar, Mirror to the Sky, Electric Sheep, Shadowland. He really likes showing that Shadowland painting now and then. A clip showing him beginning a painting, some fragile prints, a clip of him finishing a drawing, which it looks like it could be perhaps Asia in Asia art or maybe something related. Decorating cups, there's a video of that, and a post about the Roger Dean bowls. So really neat stuff. Definitely check out his page. And Stephen Lamb of Sonic Bond Publishing recently posted that he interviewed Steve Howe. He says, in fine form, despite having only finished a US tour with Yes a few days ago. The fruits of our labor will be in the next issue of Prague. So really cool. And let's see, regarding Bill Bruford, there have been posts about the Pete Roth trio. One of them was about a song written for Pete Roth's daughter, Grace. And Bill also posted an excerpt from the track Looking Forward to Looking Back. Track, piece, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, anytime I see this trio performing in these clips, I'm like, man, I really want them to come to the US. I'd really love to see them. So, fingers crossed, hopefully in the future. Trevor Horn shared a clip of himself recording his audiobook for Adventures in Modern Recording, and it's quite a fun one. And then he shared a clip of himself rehearsing for upcoming UK shows, December 18th, 19th, and 20th. So the video mentioned that he would be performing such hits as Slave to the Rhythm, Owner of a Lonely Heart, and Video Killed the Radio Star. So pretty much those hits I think anyone would pretty much expect, but of course there will also be more. So very curious what the set list will be. And these shows will be in Newcastle, Manchester, and then London. So go check that out. Go to Trevor Horn's page and follow the breadcrumbs and whatnot. Now, the other day, November 28th, saw the release of Fly From Here, Return Trip on these different formats. It's a re-release, of course, and I've got the image here that shows the different formats. So let me just share that. Just give me a moment. All right, share screen. It's this one. Okay. All right. So again, this is in Blu-ray, CD, and 2LP formats. The 2025 version. There's a Super Deluxe Edition Blu-ray featuring a brand new Atmos mix by Richard Whittaker. And there are also instrumental mixes. The 2LP version is on 140 gram vinyl and housed in a tip-on gatefold sleeve. Yeah, so the Blu-ray mix by Richard Whittaker. There's also 5.1 stereo Atmos instrumental, 5.1 instrumental, stereo instrumental, and original stereo mixes. The album contains the full 6-part title track, the complete version of Hour of Need, and the outtake Don't Take No for an Answer. So visually, this does look really tempting. And I mean, it's there if you want to get it. For me, I'm going to wait until there's ever a possible re-release of the Benoit David version, because you know, I've gone over this like a broken record. Like, ideally, I just want both versions to be available, but it is what it is. But speaking of Benoit David, Oliver Wakeman recently posted about a photo that Benoit took of him in front of I guess it's a store that's also called Oliver. And he says, I think it was taken in Rosario during the Yes 2010 South American tour, but I'm happy to be corrected as my memory isn't the best. Benoit and I used to spend lots of time together chatting about the tour and life in general. We became great friends from our time on the road together, and our friendship has continued to this day. In fact, my next job after this post is to reply to his email. It was great working with Benoit and Yes, and I was also pleased when he agreed to sing on the Ravens and Lullabies album I released after I stopped working with the band. Maybe at some point we'll get to record again. That would be really nice. Yeah, that would be really nice. I'd love to see Oliver and Benoit working together again, especially Benoit get back into music if he feels drawn to it again. I mean, if Bill Bruford can come out of retirement, like, anything is possible, you know? And like I commented on that post, if he and Benoit ever release anything, we'll be here for it. Yeah, so we'll see what happens in the future. So another reissue want to remind y'all about is the Symphonic Live re-release. So that is expected to ship out in late January. And we talked a bit about this in the Alt Music Yes episode, but I'll go ahead and show it again in case anyone missed it. So you got the Blu-ray plus 2 CD collection, and has all the tracks that were on the original release, including the 30-minute Dreamtime documentary and the promo video for Don't Go. There's also some new artwork and artist notes from Bob Seska, and an art card set and double-sided poster. It's been pointed out to me that on the LP version, which I'll show in a moment, the LP version is the first time that this version of Ritual has been on LP. So that's really cool. And like I mentioned, I ordered the Blu-ray. Yeah, so you can like look this up at the yesworld.com store. Yeah, and we're planning to have Bob Seska on the show sometime in January when we could talk about this with him, and it'll be like a really fun conversation, I'm sure. He'll give us the details and scoop and whatnot, and reminisce about that era, I suppose, back in the early 2000s. So very much looking forward to that. We still need to send him the schedule, but we'll work something out. And as far as reissues, again, I'm sure all of you already know by now that the Tales from Topographic Oceans Super Deluxe Edition is coming out in the new year. And I saw an interesting post about I saw that the lithograph for that was sold out from the Rhino store. And someone managed to find out in a forum with an answer from Jason Rhino, who I guess works at Rhino, who said that the reels from the band were incomplete, and they released all they had in Steve Howe's vault. So that's in reference to the live recordings that are on this, I believe. So yeah, because people are wondering about the source, like, is it from bootlegs or is it from personal library. So I guess it's from Steve Howe's personal archives. So that's good to hear. All right. Rick Wakeman recently did an interview in Goldmine, a magazine, and he released another podcast for his Myths and Legends of Rick Wakeman, which is now including like other people who've worked with him, including his son Adam. So that's cool how it's expanding and whatnot. And Rick also gave a positive health update. So he said on his website, he said, as many of you may be aware, a few months ago, I had to reschedule my American tour because of health issues as I was diagnosed with a neurological disorder, normal pressure hydrocephalus. And following hospitalized operational tests in September, I had the necessary corrective shunt brain surgery last week, which I'm pleased to say was very successful. And I'm now recuperating at home, being cared for by my lovely wife and her wonderful furry healing animals. I have to take things easy for a while, but have been told by my surgeon that I will be perfectly fine to travel to America for the tour with my son Oliver in March, and will be fine for all future engagements after that. And I will also be fine for the 2 Saving Strays charity concerts in Norwich and Ipswich on December 19th and 20th. I'm also pleased to say that it doesn't seem to have affected my piano playing in any way, as I still seem to be very capable of hitting the odd wrong note here and there when I lose my concentration. Once again, I'd like to thank everybody who wished me well over the last few months for a speedy recovery, as it really did mean a lot to me. Thanks again, Rick. So very glad to hear that Rick is doing well health-wise. Next up, we got some Oliver Wakeman stuff again. So again, he's been posting a lot of memorabilia over on his Facebook page. So go check that out on Facebook. And man, it's getting tougher to keep up with him now with all the posts he's been doing. So I'll try to get through these within a couple minutes, and then I'll talk about a couple other things briefly, and then share my thoughts on Billy Sherwood's Art of Survival album and Steve Howe's Homebrew 7, which I acquired both of those from the merch stand at the Yes show recently and finally gave them a listen. But in the meantime, Oliver Wakeman, he, in the last 3 weeks, has posted a pic from the Greek Theater Yes show. That would be the one where Trevor Rabin performed, I believe. A pic of him performing Starship Trooper with Chris in the foreground. It looks really cool. A pic of them two with Roger Dean backstage at Massey Hall in Toronto. A picture disc of This Is Still Too Young to Remember by the band It Bites, featuring Roger Dean's logo. A pic from his first stage rehearsal with Yes in Hamilton, Canada, back in 2008. A vinyl of Rick Wakeman's Soft Sword album. A promo shot from the Fly From Here songwriting era. A pic from around the Pyramids of the Sun and Moon in Mexico, around the time they got the health news about Chris when he had a blood clot in 2009 and had to cancel a show. A Queensryche picture disc, Lavender by Marillion on 12-inch, a pic from a King Arthur show in 2016, a picture disc, a 12-inch for the track The Dreamer, charts from the National Music Express, I think it was, paper cutting of the what is this? Of the following Yes show in Mexico City at the Teatro Metropolitan back in 2009, an NME page with article Wakeman Quits Yes, a CD of David Bowie's Tin Machine, a print of Roger Dean's Red Desert from ABWH, the ABWH An Evening of Yes Music poster, a Marillion 12-inch for the lovely track Heart of Lothian, as he describes it, a photo of himself, his dad Rick, and his brother Adam. He says this was taken during Rick's 40th birthday back in 1989 on the Isle of Man. Dad is holding a trophy Adam and I bought him to celebrate making it to 40. And then Oliver says, frightening to think that Dad is over 10 years younger than Adam and I are now in that photo. a poster of Smokestack, which was a rock blues band that Oliver was a member of for many years during his formative years when he was in his early 20s, living in North Devon in the UK. And in the Court of the Crimson King CD, a collection of old CDs featuring the original demos and preparation CDs for the music that ended up on the Yes albums From a Page and Fly From Here. He says the CD marked Alan's tune became the starting point for the opening of Gift of Love, which Alan and I wrote together. The one titled Carefree was from the studio of the same name, where we jammed and wrote the main riff parts for Into the Storm. Interesting to see the initial mixes of Live from Lyon on there, which I worked on with Carl Groom, as no one else in the band really wanted to spend any time on a live album. But I really wanted to do it and put a really good sounding live album together. He also posted a copy of Evening Post with the article about John Lennon being shot, Marillion 12-inch, He Knows You Know, a 5 CD box set of Rick Wakeman's first 5 albums, which for a long time, this was the only way you could get White Rock and No Earthly Connection. And he also posted the first ever, or one of the first ever music promo shots he did. He says stepdad took the photo on the porch of an abandoned hotel in Westward Ho in North Devon. He also posted his black and gray acoustic guitar, which he wrote some of his first musical ideas on. He says, I still have it in the garage. And he also posted about Anam Cara, his solo album, a picture disc of Lady Let It Lie by Fish, a photo with Rick by The Shore, back when Oliver was a little kid, a Korg NS5R, a photo of Rick, Gordon Giltrap, and Oliver with a guitar which was donated by Vintage for the auction that they held in the interval, an Anderson Wakeman t-shirt, a pic from the Classic Rock Society Awards night when Oliver received the Best Keyboard Player Award from Steve Hackett and Martin Hudson, the plane that was used during the Yes in Asia tour, the No One Can single by Marillion, originally from the Holidays in Eden album, a keyboard rig, the ABWH and the Big Dream VHS, the St. Peter's Square picture from the 2009 Yes tour, an invite to the launch party for his very first solo record he released back in 1997, the Yes Songs VHS, a video and pics of 3 different versions of Live from Lyon, and a photo of him and Rick, which was taken to promote the Rodney Matthews album Trinity, which they both performed on. And Oliver played on most of the album and wrote for a bit of it, and then recorded Rick's parts in his studio. And he thinks that it's the first and only album that both he and Rick performed keyboards on. And he also posted a rainbow pic from one of his walks and said maybe it'll be on the cover of a future album. I think Steve Howe did something similar with Spectrum. Was that what he did? And then Oliver posted a music update saying, well, it's been a very busy couple of weeks, mainly working on sessions for various different artists. I was asked to play on the new Madrigal Project record, following on from playing on the first one, 11th Hour from last year. I finished that and am just waiting back for any feedback of other bits which might need doing. I've also sent across a very exciting track I wrote with Rodney Matthews for a new project, which will be out next year. Rodney wrote the lyrics and I wrote a song from them. It's an epic track and features some great guest artists, but more to come on that when Rodney Matthews Studios is ready to announce it. I've also delivered a commissioned piece of music to a client. I do these occasionally. People ask me to write a piece of music for a special occasion or a person. It's a lovely piece of work to get and is always challenging but very rewarding. I've also delivered the keyboard parts for a new Carrie Martin composition. This will feature on her new album, and she was very happy with it, which is always a relief. I think the coming week is going to be focused on rehearsals for the upcoming tours, as I need to try and get a lot of music into my head. Marillion CD singles in the garage. I think these are a couple other things he posted about, actually, and I just copied and pasted in the wrong place. So yeah, he's also posted about disc 2 of a 2-disc set from Marillions Alone Again in the Lap of Luxury from the Brave album, and a group pick from when Yes were touring in Florida. But yeah, so those are Oliver's music updates. So very excited to see how all this turns out. And Jazz Sabbath also had a Record Store Day release of a live album in the US and Canada, and also says, don't worry, info about the general release is coming really soon. So there you go. That's a little update about Adam Wakeman there. Dave Kersner posted saying, been playing with Billy Sherwood on Cruise to the Edge for 10 years. Who's going on the next one in 2026? Book a cabin and join the prog fun. So glad I'll be there yet again to play my songs old and new. I'll have Fernando Perdomo, Matt Dorsey, Derek Sintram, and if we're lucky and they're not too busy, we'll have some all-stars from Yes, Pink Floyd, Durga McBroom if she's not on tour, and more. All right, and on that note about Billy, I'll go ahead and share my thoughts on his solo album, The Art of Survival. And again, I got this from the merch stand at the Yes show I recently attended. So let me take it out of the case so it'll look better. All right, so this is how the booklet looks. It's I guess it's maroon. Is that what the shade is? It's got a bird on it, and you got the lyrics on here as well, which I always appreciate. And you got birds next to the like different columns of lyrics. And so he produced, recorded, mixed, wrote, and performed it. And it was mastered by Mayor Applebaum. The artwork and photography were done by Mitchie Sherwood. There's a pic of Billy there. And the overall sound is what you'd expect from, you know, I think Billy Sherwood has his own sound that people are able to like discern. You know, when you listen to Circa or Conspiracy, stuff like that. So this continues that, and it's really great. You got these tracks that feel like they have some sort of connectivity in terms of themes about humanity. You've got, there are 9 tracks on here: The Military Industrial Complex, Drone Deciphers, Whose Side Are We On, Faith That We Belong, Chosen by Divinity, Humanity, Pathfinders of Tomorrow, Humming Along, and I Must Begin Again. And that's how the backside looks. And yeah, there are a couple of tracks on here where the mood changes midway, like for Whose Side Are We On, which is kind of fitting because you have that thing about different sides and whatnot. I think also on, was it on Faith That We Belong, or was it Chosen by Divinity? I'm not sure, but there are a couple of tracks that were like that. And there's very catchy recurring lyrics on here too. So when you listen, there might be some lyrics that you'll be humming now and then. And I quite like how I Must Begin Again, it kind of ends with those words. And then on my player, like once it ended with those words, it restarted the CD. And so it really was beginning again. But yeah, this is a great sounding album. You know, Billy is great at putting albums together. And it really reminds me of what you can hear of him in the recent Yes albums and from the other members as well. You know, we get to hear them each in their own element, like Steve Howe on Homebrew 7, which I'll get to in a moment. And Yes really is when these very different people come together and put something together, and you can pick out how their own styles mesh with each other. And I think it works really well. So the other one is Homebrew 7. I'll go ahead and take the booklet out. So the Homebrew series, I've listened to maybe a couple of those albums and heard samples here and there. So in my head, my idea of the Homebrew albums is Steve with an acoustic guitar singing lyrics that would end up on songs by Yes or other bands as part of like Asia and stuff like that. So going into this, I was very much expecting more of that, and then it turned out to be a bit different. I just realized I didn't show the Art of Survival CD all that much, but there it is. But then I opened Homebrew 7 and right before listening to it, and the booklet it includes includes notes from Steve Howe. He gives like this little introduction, and he says that this is actually very different from the other Homebrew CDs. And I was like, wait, what? So he says this edition is different in that it presents music that has not been released. And keep in mind, this came out in 2021. I guess I should say that. He says it comes from my tape store and from more recent recording sessions. I don't intend to re-record these. What's here is what they are. Many are things I've enjoyed saving until the right moment, and the Homebrew series allows this now. Dating from the late 70s up till 2016, it crosses many audio mediums, which I always attempt to tidy up. Others have been worked on to expand the endeavor. There are more details in the liner notes. If you're familiar with the Homebrew series, then you'll know they can jump around from era to era. Some tracks have matured with my nurturing, but others have been recently rediscovered. So yeah, he includes these notes, and they're also let me turn that off. Turn off this visual effects thing. And there are also these nature photos, and the Gottlieb brothers also contributed to this. Looks much better in person than on here. But yeah, there are 21 tracks on this. So I'll go ahead and read them off quickly. Or actually, I'll read them and from the booklet and say what year they're from, because that's a nice thing here. He lists the year that's from and also the guitars that he uses. So we got the Glider from 2015, October from 1998, Halfway from 1997, 2009, and 2015. Now, this was an interesting one because he says that he says it's the original version of While Rome's Burning from Turbulence with a previously concealed song and lyrics, initially recorded in 1997. I'm a bit confused by the wording here because Turbulence came out in 1991, but I guess maybe he worked on this and then recorded this particular early vision of the track in 1997. He says, I returned to this in 2009 in Switzerland where I recorded the vocals. Then in 2015, I added Virgil on drums and then mixed it, whilst preparing other tracks for my Anthology Volume 2 Collaborations CD. The song is about someone I was trying to work with, but too many things kept getting in the way. Yeah, I wonder who that would have been. Like, the only person I know of that Steve Howe tried working with and then they couldn't get it together because of his commitments with Yes was Annie Haslam back in 1995 or so, but I don't know if that's who's being sung about here. It very well could be someone else. But yeah, you also got Phil Spalding on bass guitar, and it's a great sounding song. They got The Only One from 2013, In One Life from 1982, Outstanding Deal from 1982, and Be Natural from 2013, Cold Winds from 1983, and this one has Dylan Howe on drums. So Dylan would have been 14 at this time. You got Deanscape from 1982, Apparently this was used on Roger Dean's website for a time, and hence the title. Tender Hooks from 2015. A Lady She Is from 1982. Two-Sided from 2013. Strange Wayfarer from 2016. And this one sounded very strange. He says, I've gotten to like a tune that is a bit silly, but it is slightly annoying too. Perhaps music for comedy has been my missing vocation. And that's pretty funny reading that a couple years before we got Living Out Their Dream on the Mirror to the Sky album. So I don't know, maybe Steve wants to include a little bit of comedy here and there in his playing, which is pretty fun. Then we've got Devon Girl from 1983. He says, I've had an affectionate feeling for this very early song. Forgive me for indulging myself a little here. Then you've got Safe Haven from 2015. A Matter of Fact from 1986. Touchstone from 2015. From Another Day from 1979. Foregone Conclusion from 2015. This was a very quick one from what I remember. So the title is kind of fitting in a way because it's like, well, it's going to end how it's going to end. Space Void from 1978. So that would be the earliest one here. And From the Get-Go from 2015. And yeah, I think one of these tracks, he said he recorded around the time of the Steve Howe album, but did not intend to use it. One of the tracks has kind of a darker sounding guitar tone, and there are moments throughout this CD where there are moments of joy and all the different guitar sounds. It's so cool and really reminds you of Steve Howe's palette and his sound. This is the photo of him that's on the back. It's a nice one. Looks like he's walking by some trees. And here is the CD. It's got the logos and the track list. It's in yellow letters. Oh, I don't think I noticed this before. Behind the CD, in the case, you got a shot of the equipment. So, yeah, quite an interesting first Homebrew CD to actually have in my collection. Yeah, like I was, it's funny, with The Art of Survival by Billy Sherwood, I kind of knew what to expect, but was still satisfied. With Homebrew 7, I was really surprised because I thought I knew what to expect, and then it was kind of a bit more than what I expected. So really cool experience there. And we just put this back in its case. And here's what the backside looks like. And that other CD that I got from the merch stand was the Moody Blues' John Lodge, Days of Future Past, My Sojourn, with autographs from him and John Davison. And like I mentioned before, I've listened to this album and reviewed it about 2 years ago, but I've not listened to this CD copy just yet, so it's been a while. I'm thinking I'm going to listen to it this Thursday night after the interview with the Gottlieb brothers, because that would have been when the John Lodge show in Cerritos I was thinking of going to would have been. So I'll listen to it then in his honor, give it a re-listen. So yeah, that's all I have for now. The Cousins Willoughby album, The Bridge, got its release the other day. I'm going to wait until the CD arrives to give it a full listen and then share my thoughts on it, because the CD includes the bonus tracks and I want to like take in that whole thing. So yeah, thanks for following us here at Yesshift. You can follow us at Yesshift on Facebook and YouTube. Go to a podcast app, type Yesshift. You'll probably find us, and you can write to us via yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com. And again, look forward to our upcoming interviews this coming month of December. We've got Trey Gunn on Thursday the 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific, which would be 1 p.m. Eastern U.S. time and 6 p.m. UK time. Again, you might know him from King Crimson. Then we've got the Gottlieb brothers that same day at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Thursday, December 11th, we have Ted Leonard, whom you might know from Spock's Beard, at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah. And I think we're planning on doing an end of the year show on here. So we'll post about that when we've settled on a day and time for that. And I guess we'll see if there will also be another Yesshift News Desk edition before the end of the year. There very well could be. We'll just have to see what info comes out. So thanks for tuning in, whether it be live or after the fact. And really appreciate y'all, and we'll see you all soon. Bye.